Shalom. I'd like to give all reverence, due benevolence, worship, honor, praise, and glory unto the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. This exhortation is for you Israelites, speaking to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who may be new to the knowledge of the truth of your heritage according to the scriptures, that you are the true Israelites of the Bible, that you are the sons and daughters of God and not the people in the Holy Land today, by and large. And if you're just having your heart softened up unto the word and you feel inclined to keep the commandments, which we are quite literally commanded to do by the Most High and His only begotten Son, then one of the laws that we have to diligently abide by is the law of nakedness. We cannot uncover the nakedness of many of our family members. So I'll just get right into it in the book of Leviticus, chapter 18. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, and starting from the top at verse number 1, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances." Jumping down to verse 7, to verse 6, it says, "None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord." So when we read the beginning of Leviticus 18, it is to be understood that the other nations that our people, our forefathers, were either in captivity in, speaking of Egypt, or dispossessed the prior inhabitants of, speaking of Canaan, those other nations were partaking in those kind of practices. Now, when the Lord says uncovering the nakedness of your near of kin, it is twofold. It is speaking about quite literally laying your eyes upon your father, your mother, or whoever it is who, according to the law, who may not have clothes on. But it's also speaking about incest. So I'll read the verses speaking about which exactly who we're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of, because it's very extensive. It goes beyond just our immediate family. And then I will get some additional precepts to give context into actual situations that unfolded with a couple of our forefathers to show how these laws are twofold. So this is Leviticus chapter 18 and verse number 7. It says, "The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness." So that's simple and plain. Verse number 8, "The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness." So now this is a bit of distinction. So this is saying if you have, let's say your father has a wife who is not your mother, so he remarried, then you can't uncover her nakedness either. So you can't look upon her and you can't engage in sexual relations with her. And it's not just if your father remarried. If your father, speaking of in this context, a polygynous man is a rarity, but it is lawful according to the laws of the Most High for a man to have multiple wives. But again, let's say, speaking to situations that you may relate to, those of you who may be watching this video, if you have your father who remarried, you can't engage in sexual relations with his new wife. Now, continuing on, verse 9, it says, "The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover." So this is your half sister. by way of your father or your mother. Can't uncover their nakedness. Reading on. Verse 10, the nakedness of thy son's daughter or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for theirs is thine own nakedness. So your son's daughter is just your granddaughter, and your daughter's daughter, same thing. And it's saying, for theirs is thine own nakedness. So just think about the relationship that you have with your grandparents, if it's a fruitful and a harmonious one. Grandparents love their grandchildren very dearly. So not only can you not look upon your upon your grandchildren and their nakedness, but you also can't, that's very wicked, but you can't molest them, have sex with them, anything like that. Now you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, if I can't look at my grandchildren, let's say I have a grandchild who I'm babysitting and I have to change their diapers, not talking about them in their infancy, but you have to use discretion. Once a child comes to a certain age, you can no longer look upon their nakedness. Reading on. Verse number 11, it says, the nakedness of thy father's wife. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter begotten of thy father. She is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So again, if it's begotten of your father, it's still your half-sister. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman. So now that's talking about your aunt. Reading on, verse 13, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Same thing, aunt on your mother's side. Verse 14, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach unto his wife. She is thine aunt. So this is a two-part law right here. You can't uncover the nakedness of your uncle. That's your father's brother. Neither can you approach unto his wife. So you can't get fresh with your uncle's wife because your uncle's wife is considered your aunt. It may not be your aunt by blood, but that is your aunt. So you have to respect the sanctity of that union. When a man and a woman come together, the woman is only supposed to be for that man. So you can't be adulterous with that woman, especially because that's incest. If it's your near kinswoman, kinswoman. Reading on. It says, verse 15, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So that's just a very lewd and wicked thing to do. You have a son, and then you go and approach unto his wife. How despicable is that? The Lord commands against that. Reading on. Verse 16, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. So same thing. Your blood brother, you can't approach unto his wife. You have to respect their union. Verse 17, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness. So you can't take a woman to be in a union with her, in a lawful union with her, and then take her daughter along with her, meaning you can't have a threesome with them. And yes, these things are going on in today. And And you may have been in a situation on either side of the token where you may have entertained being in a incestuous threesome, either with a woman and her daughter, or you may have been that woman and you thought it was enticing, appealing, whatever it is. I don't know the word because I don't have any superlatives for something like that. But you may have thought it to be something that you wanted to do, to include your daughter or your mother in a three-way with your man, whatever it is. That is not permissible by the law. And I'm going to round out. It says, verse number 18, neither shalt thou take a wife to her neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to get an account in the book of Genesis, because our forefather Jacob had two wives, Rachel and Leah, and they were sisters. So the law doesn't contradict itself. I'll read it again. This is Leviticus chapter 19 and verse number 18. It says, neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. So again, that's another threesome. You can't take a wife and her sister and engage in a threesome with them. So Jacob had Rachel and Leah as his wives, and they were sisters. So you may be asking to yourself, all right, well, was it unlawful for him to look at Rachel naked and then go look at Leah naked? This is where we see that the law is twofold, and that it's speaking, yes, about seeing their physical nakedness, but there's distinction. So let's get this in the book of Genesis, chapter 'Bear with me one moment while I get the chapter in question. This is Genesis chapter 29, and I'm going to start at verse 23. Matter of fact, I'm going to get verse number 20. It says, and Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. So Jacob went to his near kinsman, Laban, and he had great love for his daughter Rachel. So he served 7 years. That was the agreement that they had. But Laban dealt deceitfully with him and had Leah, Rachel's sister, go and consummate the marriage. That's what it says in verse number 23. It says that it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? So Jacob got upset because Laban tricked him. That's what beguile means. Verse 26, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. So Jacob had both Rachel and Leah as his wives. So it would have been a vexation unto either or if Jacob tried to initiate a threesome with them both. And it even tells us this later in Genesis, when Rachel and Leah got into a bit of an argument over I'll actually get the account. This is Genesis chapter 30. They got into a bit of an argument. And let's see what it says. So this is Genesis chapter 30 and verse 15. It says, "And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband?" This is Leah speaking. "And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes." So Rachel was trying to engage in some type of barter, some type of some type of deal, because Leah's son Reuben found mandrakes in the field, and Rachel desired to have some of her son's mandrakes. So Rachel was like, "All right, you can have Jacob for the night if you if you give me some of your son's mandrakes." So that's just some context clues there to give clarity unto Leviticus chapter 18. And it rounds out by saying, "Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover." This is, Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 19. It says, "Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness." So this is referencing what we read in Leviticus chapter 15 from, let me get that. This is what we read from Leviticus chapter 15 and verse number 19 on down to the end of the chapter, which, roughly paraphrasing, touches on how the Lord commands the men of Israel not to go in unto a woman when she is put apart on her period. So all the days of her separation, a man is not supposed to go in unto her. So that's what it states in Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 19. It says, "Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness." So that is what that's getting into there. So all of the near kinsmen that we read about in that chapter, in Leviticus chapter 18, we're supposed to make sure that according to the law, we're not uncovering their nakedness, and where applicable, we're not engaging in incestuous relationships, threesomes with those individuals. And Genesis chapter 29 and 30 should give clarity into the distinction that is made. But there are other precepts that also give us further context clues. Now, when it's dealing with quite literally uncovering the nakedness by looking upon, let's say, your father or your mother naked, this is the book of Genesis chapter 9. Because Noah, who you may have heard about the accounts of Noah's Ark, Noah's son Ham uncovered Noah's nakedness. And because he had done so, his son Canaan received a curse. So I'm going to get that in Genesis chapter 9. It's the book of Genesis chapter 9 and verse number 20. It says, "And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent." So Noah got drunk, and he was naked. He passed out. Verse 22, "And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness." So this is how serious the law is. This is how zealous and meticulous we're supposed to be when it comes to adhering to the law. You can't look upon your father's rod or your father's phallus. your father's penis, whatever word you want to use for that member. You can't look upon your father when he's naked. So Shem and Japheth literally had to take that garment, put it on their shoulders, and they had to look backward and hope that once they saw Noah's feet, that they could just make a nice educated guess and cover his naked midsection from, I'm not going to surmise, but they covered his nakedness so that they could then turn around and then hopefully help him when he awoke so that he would take care of himself appropriately, so that they wouldn't have to behold him naked. So because of Ham's transgression, let's read what happened when Noah woke up. It says, this is Genesis chapter 9 and verse 24. It says, and Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. Reading on. Verse 25, and he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So it's really that serious. Ham transgressed, and as a result, his son Canaan was given that lot that he and his progeny would serve Shem and Japheth. And when we read all throughout the rest of the scriptures, I mean, we read about that in Leviticus 18 at the top, where the Lord said not to do after the manner of the heathen, because Canaan's progeny, the Canaanites, they were doing all those things, all manner of those wickednesses, all that manner of wickedness, sleeping with their aunts and uncles and uncovering each other's nakedness, having no regard for the law of the Lord. And so the Lord, who chose our nation to be a peculiar and a holy people unto him, commanded us not to do those things. So that should give clarity into how serious it is not to look upon your near kinsmen and kinswomen who are naked. So if you're someone who lives in a household where you try to, or not try, where you walk around and you behold your mother's breasts or your father's member, then you need to make sure that if, let's say you're coming into the knowledge of the truth of your heritage and you're taking the commandments seriously, you gotta do everything in your power to make sure that you're not beholding their nakedness. You may live in an apartment where spaces are confined and you may not have your own room, or things may be difficult for you to avert your eyes. You're gonna have to find a way. You're gonna have to approach your parents and say, look, if you're not gonna keep the commandments, then at the least you have to let me know whenever it is you're going to be naked, when you're going to the shower or when you're changing your clothes or whatever it is. You have to let me know so that I can turn my face away. We must keep the commandments of the Lord. And this is a great commandment that you can keep right away. So read Leviticus chapter 18 and read the scriptures. It'll give great clarity onto how it is we're supposed to administer the law and adhere to it, so that we do the things that are pleasing unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And I'll round out in the book of Isaiah chapter 47, because nakedness is likened unto a symbol of shame. This is Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 3. It says, matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse number 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So again, it quite literally says when in verse 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. So nakedness is likened unto shame. So indulge in the scriptures and make sure that you're applying them. If you know that your mother, your father is going to the bathroom, and they have to pass by where you're at, or you know that they change at this time to go to work or whatever it is, you got to make sure that if you gotta face the wall, if you got to go into a closet, whatever you have to do, you cannot look upon their nakedness. And stop getting thrills out of having threesomes with a woman and her daughter or anything of the like. With that, I say, Shalom, Israel. Make sure that we're not uncovering the nakedness of our near kins, men and women, according to the scriptures. Shalom.